All right. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Your questions for tonight are, who are you? Position in district. How are you? Time constraints. Issues or elephants. Expectations. And the question's kind of a tough one tonight. What was the last movie you actually saw in the theater? All right, let's start with Dave Lockley.
Of course, you asked me to go first when I'm not ready to go.
Sorry, Dave.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Transitioning workspaces for the day. I'm Dave Lockley, president of the District 12 Educators Association. It's my proud privilege to have that role. I am scattered, just like we all are today, as the first day of in-person, or not in-person, well, in-person for our preschool program and online for the rest of K-12. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting day. That's about best I could say. I don't have any time constraints. I haven't had the opportunity to check out who's missing. So if someone else maybe next up can check the list for me and figure out who that is. And I don't have any issues or elephants to talk about today. And the last movie that I actually saw in person, I honest to goodness cannot remember what it was. I can think of movies that I've seen in the theater recently, but I cannot recall what any of them actually, what they actually were. I know that I saw with my son the Spider-Man Far From Home. So we're gonna say that was the last movie I saw in the theater. Although we did go see Frozen in one of those like drive-in, fake pop-up drive-in theater movie. So it's either Frozen 2 or Spider-Man, whichever counts for this question.
All right. Laura Leppy.
Hi guys, I'm Laura Leppy. I teach middle school math at Holstrom. I'm doing well today. I had my first day back in the building with some kids virtually. I'm still at school. It was amazing. I'm exhausted, but it was super, super fun to see all their faces. And I have no issues or elephants unless my Zoom decides to freeze again, because that was fun. I am charging my computer though, so it's sideways. So I apologize for you having to see the side of my face. I have no time constraints unless the custodians kick me out, and then I'll switch to my phone and drive home with all of you. And the last movie, I think, was I saw Bombshell with my mom over winter break. And I think that is the last movie I saw. Because we usually go to the movies in the winter when my parents are out here visiting from New York. But I think that's it, December. There we go.
Sounds good. Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nancy Leonard, retired principal with District 12. I'm feeling good. I don't have any time constraints. Don't have any issues or elephants. I expect we're going to hear a little bit more about how the day went for everybody, and hopefully get some solutions to problems that are coming up. I think I'm with Lara. I think the last movie I saw was Bombshell in December. I don't think I went to any movies after that.
Sounds good. Dorman.
Let's see. I'll get my cheat sheet up here. I'm Dorman Land. I'm a Spanish teacher. I have no time constraints. I don't have any issues or elephants. I expect us to do good work like we always do. Movie, I don't remember the name of it, but it was the last time I visited Ecuador. So I watched it in Quito. It was in Spanish, it had Spanish titles, and it was a horrible, boring movie. I'm glad I've forgotten. Well, up until this question thing, I had forgotten that I'd watched it.
Kristen. Is she on?
No.
That's one of the ones I don't
She's-
see. All
She's
right.
absent today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
She had a
good.
previous conflict. Yeah.
Thanks, Mila. Linda. Linda's having trouble unmuting.
There we go.
Got it.
Technical difficulties. I'm Linda Walther. I'm a retired counselor and teacher from the district. I'm feeling fine. Although I looked at the air quality and it's not so hot right now, so it was good this morning. No time constraints, no issues or elephants, and honest to God, I cannot remember the last time I went to the theater.
Okay, Sandy. Sandy on?
Sandy
Not-
just arrived. She may
Yep,
not
I'm
be
here.
quite
Okay.
ready to talk. Oh, here she is.
Okay, go
Sorry.
ahead, Sandy. No, go ahead.
Oh, wow. Oh,
You-
geez.
Do you need the question, Sandy?
Yeah, I just got here. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, sorry. It's- All right, it's who are you? Position in district. How are you? Time constraints, issues, elephants, expectations, and what's the last movie you actually saw in the theater?
Oh, Sandy Sorensen, Northland High School, science teacher. Man, by the time class got over and I finished answering emails, it was 10 to 4, and I still had to dogs and bathroom and, oh my God, water. And so sorry I'm late. No issues, elephant. No time constraints. 4:15, really? Geez, no elephants, any of that. Expectations. Okay, I don't know what to expect because I don't even remember what's on the agenda. Whatever you guys say, just tell me where to go. And last movie I saw in a movie theater, I don't have any idea. Aquaman, maybe? I think it was Aquaman.
Okay, so, Sandy, that was cruel to do to you. I apologize, but you got through it. That's good. Yeah. All right, Matt.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt. I am the principal at Pathways. I am doing all right this afternoon. No issues, elephants, no time constraints. My expectation is we'll hammer out some things that need done in our new world of remote learning. Let's see here. I'm glad I wasn't first on this. I don't go to a ton of movies. I think the last movie we saw was Knives Out, which was awesome. I like that one.
Mila.
Well, I need to give you a visual to share my movie. On a hot day last summer, we went to enjoy these fine gentlemen. Okay, you're welcome.
That's such a good one.
I'm just so excited that I found the boys to admire, and they're just going to stay on my screen probably. My name is Mila Shepard. I am your oh so politically correct Chief of Human Resources. I'm happy to be here this afternoon. I'm really excited that our kids started school today in whatever version it took, and so with you guys as you try and figure out the ins and outs of Schoology and just admire the work that you're trying to do there. It's like being a first year teacher all over again. We've said that before, but it's true, I think. So I'm fine. I have no issues or elephants, no time constraints. And yeah, I think other than Kristen Powers, everybody else, well, I don't see.
Shelley won't be here today.
Okay, and I see Kathy, but I'm not sure I see Laura. Am I missing Laura today?
She is texting. She may be late. Has a doctor's appointment, so
Okay.
she's driving. And I told her Not, if you're the one driving, maybe you should not.
Yeah.
You're not going to pull over. So
Good
I don't
tip.
know if she's going to come on or not, but
All right. All
Thanks,
right.
Kathy. All right, Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison Alter. I teach social studies at Horizon High School. I'm doing okay. It's been a day and I forgot to eat lunch and it is now 4 o'clock. So I just finished that. Snuck it in there. I was really preoccupied with that. So glad I got to finish before this. No issues or elephants. Like Sandy, I have no idea what to expect because I did not look at the agenda. I am sorry. And did I get it all?
Other than the movie, you're in good
Okay.
shape.
I don't know. The last time I really remember going to a movie was last summer in Lithuania. It was a really rainy day, so I decided to go see Rocket Man, which was like a fun experience to see a movie in a foreign country. But I feel like I've probably seen a movie since then, but I don't know what it would have been.
Sounds good. Teresa.
Hello, everyone. Teresa Barajas, Assistant Principal at Northglen Middle School. I'm doing okay. I'm just happy that we actually got to see some kids today and some teachers in the building. So that gives me energy. No time constraints, no issues or elephants, expectations, just the same that we continue to do. Movie, I cheated. I went back to my AMC app. And it looks like the last movie that I went to see was back in December 2019, and it was Jumanji: The Next Level.
Deborah.
Hi, I'm Deborah Blake, special education teacher at Arapahoe Ridge Elementary School. I am feeling proud of myself. I made it through the day. So I am here and happy to be here. I have a ton of issues and elephants, but none of them have anything to do with bargaining or anything remotely in this realm. I can't remember expectations to do really good work and to figure out the ever continuing stuff that keeps popping up with this new world in which we are living. I do want to give a shout out to classroom teachers because on the first 2 days, my job today was just to pop into classrooms and say hello to students. And we gave classroom teachers a little bit of a break and did activities, but I was not problem solving. I was not troubleshooting. I don't know how you classroom teachers survived today. Hats off to every single one of you. You guys deserve a really big, tall one today. So kudos to all of you. The movie that I saw last year was a really great year for movies, and I saw almost every single one. So I'm not sure if it was the last one, but one of the best ones was Parasite. So loved that one.
Dave, you didn't think Shelley was going to be here, but she is on. So Shelley.
I just walked out of the DMV.
Okay.
So I'm Shelley Durock. I teach 3rd grade at Meridian, although I'm not sure I'm going to do that tomorrow. I think they might have to find someone to take my place. It was rough. I don't know if it's just me or if it's 3rd grade in me or if it's Zoom and Schoology in me. I'm not sure. But I tried my best and my students tried, but we were largely unsuccessful today with very much of what we had planned. But we did hang out together all day. And for this meeting, I have high expectations to do good work. I'm going to take a deep breath in a minute. And I don't have any issues or elephants. I don't know a movie I've seen any time recently. I couldn't think of one.
Okay.
I listened to a couple suggestions and they were nothing I had seen. So I'm going to say I don't know.
All right. Thanks, Shelley. Heather Espinoza.
Hello, Heather Espinoza. I teach second grade at Woodglen. I'm exhausted. It was a rough day trying to get second graders to navigate Schoology, Zoom, life, school on a computer all day. That mute button, oh, that mute button. No issues that you all can help me with, I don't think. Expectation is to talk about what we're going to talk about today. And I don't know, I'm thinking maybe The Lion King was the last one I saw.
Okay. Colleen.
What was next?
Yep.
Colleen Gardner, Shadow Ridge Middle School, 6th grade math teacher. Kudos to you, elementary school. I didn't have to stay all day with the same students all day, so you guys had a big load to carry today. I'm doing really well. Like the first day of every year, the best part are the kids, and seeing their little faces on my screen made me feel better about the whole year, and that most of them showed up. Most of them got into my meeting was like a bonus. Shout out to Dorman for helping me with my Schoology so that I knew what to do, because I was having a meltdown last week about it. So thank you for that. And I highly suggest him if you need some help. Not everybody in the district, but people in this meeting, maybe. I have no time constraints, no issues with elephants. I'm expecting to be able to give you guys some input from teachers about the substitute teachers and class coverage that we talked about last week, because I think that's what we're starting with. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but I'm an A-list member from AMC, and we get 3 movies a week, and they reopened last week. So Friday I went to Unhinged, and Sunday I went to see Cutthroat City. Unhinged was awesome. The movie was super safe. Like, they did social distancing well. They cleaned everything. Like, everybody was wearing masks. Nobody argued. There wasn't a lot of food selection, but I highly recommend going to a movie. They did a really good job, and Unhinged was really good.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bo Fobert. I serve the district as Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction. No issues, no elephants, no time constraints. Same expectations of good work. Might be a little harder today because I know we're all coming off of a huge day, and I would be remiss if I didn't just celebrate the extreme, amazing, truly heroic work of people across our system, our teachers today. I just celebrate the courage. I celebrate the stick-to-itiveness. I know that the obstacles are many right now, and the difficulties very real, but I also was privy to a lot of amazing demonstrations of creativity, of connections with kids, of really incredible work to re-engage. And I agree with Colleen, it's a great reminder of what we're all here for, to finally see them on the other end of the screens today. And we've got a lot left to figure out and get better over time, but I just, what I do hope this gives more people a glimpse to is something we all have known for a long time, and it's the amazing work that happens in our schools every day. I think people take for granted just how much we tend to, how much we are responsible for, that goes largely unnoticed. And I hope maybe a byproduct of this time is more people realize the gift to this earth, this gift to society that are our teachers. And I hope that comes out of this. I have no idea when I last stepped into a movie theater, but I did have the pleasure to break like a 30-year absence from a drive-in this summer. Had the opportunity, just my wife and I, which was really cool. I felt like I was 16 again on a date. Got to the drive-in with a little transistor radio on our lawn chairs, and it was great. And we saw Inside Out and Talladega Nights, and it was perfect double dip.
Good. Chris.
I'm Chris, superintendent. I'm a mixed bag in terms of my feelings today. I think in this role, I often derive my feelings about how people within the system are feeling, and this conversation is a microcosm of some of the interactions and communications I've had throughout the day. I find myself feeling happy and smiley when people are reporting good things, feel good things, and then I feel sad and stressed when people have had a difficult day, and it's a little bit of a mixed bag today, to be honest. lots of positive. I try to hold on to that. And then I'm also committed to working with you and students and families who had more challenging and frustrating days to do what we can to make the days ahead better than today may have been. So that's how I am. I have no issues or elephants, no time constraints. Expectations is that we'll thoughtfully listen to feedback around pressing issues and solve them in a thoughtful way together. And on the movie side, I may be in the same spot as Teresa. I think the last two movies I've seen were the Jumanji and then a Star Wars movie, I think, within the last year or so with my kids. And whichever was most recent was the most recent one that I saw.
Very good. Heather Grecius.
Hi, everyone. Heather Grecius, Elementary Director for Student Support Services. Glad to be here. I'm doing well today. My day started with a serenade from our superintendent in a meeting that we were in, so it does not get better than that. He might give us a little ditty here tonight, and that would just be a Godowski song sandwich for me. I have high expectations of this group always, and so those remain the same. I have no issues or elephants. The last movie that I saw was, I texted my daughter because I, can't remember anything. She couldn't remember either, but then it came to me, it was Little Women sometime in the spring. It was a really great movie.
Very good. Kathy.
Well, should we take a little break and be serenaded? I don't know. Feels like that's what should happen. I'm Kathy Plomer. I'm on the Board of Education. I will thank every face I see on the screen because, boy, I don't know how y'all are doing it. I'm just watching in awe. I mean, I know at every single level of the district to get to this day was huge, and it'll be ongoing and continuous. And, I'm hearing the same from parents. This was a great day, or, technology failed, all the whole gamut. The people in the middle don't often say anything. So just those somewhat satisfied or whatever, they're just doing their thing. But thank you, everybody. I know this was huge, and I'm excited because I know it's just going to get better every day. And so thank you. I am feeling pretty good today. I don't have any time constraints or issues or elephants. Expectations, I'm really anxious to hear more of the discussion because I think there's always new things we uncover. And the last movie I saw was Harriet. It was a movie about Harriet Tubman.
Very good. Marty.
Thinking I almost got away with it, but you got me, Dave. Marty McCarthy, principal at Thornton Middle School. No issues or elephants. Doing okay. Just trying to absorb the day. And right now I'm really just trying to rifle through all of the things that need to be solved between today and tomorrow. And it's feels long. So yeah, my expectations are that we'll continue to work on things and try to bring some clarity to an unclear picture. And I have no idea what the last movie I saw. I'm not even really sure I know what a movie theater is anymore. So anyway, thanks.
All right, Jackie.
Hey everybody, Jackie Parkins. I'm a UniServe director like Dave. I work in Front Range, which includes Cherry Creek, Sheridan, Englewood, South Park, Clear Creek, a few other little locals. Happy to be here. When Dave first asked me, he told me we were going till 8 p.m. So I am thrilled to hear we're not going to 8 p.m. I cannot imagine how y'all would survive 8 to 8 p.m. after the day you've had. So opposite of an elephant. Whatever, a mouse. That's what I have right now. Very happy. But I also want you to know how much I love working with y'all, that I was willing to be here till 8 with you. And so, yeah, doing great. Glad to be here. As always, expect y'all to be as productive as it is possible for our bargaining team to be, because that's been my experience with you thus far. The last movie, I think it's hard because like every day is the same now, and that was 16 years ago. But I think it was Queen and Slim, which is a really beautiful movie.
Very good. And I'm Dave. I'm your other facilitator. Doing fine tonight. Little rummy, but been on Zoom too much today. No time constraints, no issues or elephants. Expectations, just like Jackie just said, you guys do such a great job of this. The expectations are that you'll just continue to do it. The last movie I saw, I'm with Teresa and Chris, was Jumanji, the new one, and I really enjoyed it. It was in December as well, so it's been a while being there. And I do want to give a shout out to Jackie. I asked Jackie on Monday if she'd come and do this, and she was very, very gracious to say yes, she would help out. And our thoughts are all with Jim. Jim's wife is very ill, so our thoughts are with him and Donnell. And so he'll be back with us eventually, and so Jackie's going to fill in tonight, and it might be somebody different next time, but we'll see what happens. So, all right, I did get Dave. You sent me the agenda for today on here, so I am assuming we're headed into the substitute teachers and class coverage. Is that correct?
Of course, it's not correct. Why would I send you an agenda that was correct? There's one small item that is the first real topic we're talking about, but I wanted to update everyone, and we're going to ask for volunteers here in a minute for the conversation we talked about having next week. Mila, sorry I jumped in. Did you want to cover this the quarantine conversation, or do you want me to do it?
You do it.
Okay. As we talked about previously in our last week, we figured out that one of the conversations was best suited specifically about quarantine rules and everything else, how to figure out the ruling, how to do the days, just figure out all the details and nuts and bolts of it would be best served in a stakeholder group that included administrators, classified and certified employees. And so what we would like to do is get a couple of volunteers, don't everyone jump up at once, from this team that are fulfill that certified and that administrator criteria to meet with us next Monday, so the 31st, starting right about 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, right? Yes, 4 o'clock. So that we can start putting together some criteria and some guidance on how to work with people who go on to quarantine throughout this COVID situation that we're in. So it's currently scheduled from 4 to 6. So like I said, if we could get 3 or 4 teachers and administrators to volunteer to do that, that way we can work with our CSEA colleagues on the 31st.
And it's really around quarantine and the use of temp leave or personal time, just the balance and the criteria, like Dave said.
I see Marty's hand up, Heather Espinoza's hand up. How many do you need, Dave?
3 or 4 from each group would be perfect.
Okay, Colleen's hands up, Matt's hands up. Teresa.
And Shelley.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that's good.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll send you all an invitation.
Now we can go on with the rest of the agenda.
All right. So substitute teachers and class coverage. Are you wanting Jackie to type story options interest on this? What do you have some introduction to it? What's the plan, Dave, Mila?
I'm thinking that what I have is a document that I've put a couple of things into the shared drive. One is tonight's agenda with a little extra language inserted. The other is a little draft of a remote learning sub-protocol brainstorm. This is rough. The intention is not to noodle through and solve all these details. The intention is to get your reactions and just things that need to be considered, more deeply developed. It's more a capture of reactions to this draft, rather not as solving the problem tonight with 23 cooks in the kitchen. So these are procedural things that, you know, that just are how we do business. And so as we've talked about, these meetings are all about sort of just transparency and addressing issues that seem to be arising. The one issue in this space that does have something to do with our contract is is class coverage. And you can't, it's hard to talk about class coverage without also talking about subs. And so that's what I would appreciate if you would go into your shared drive and find the document that's called Remote Learning Sub-Protocols Draft.
And I don't believe Jackie and I have that,
Okay.
which is fine.
Dave, do you think you could perhaps send it to them?
Am I?
I'm working on it right now. Yep.
Yeah.
Allison, you don't see it? Okay.
I would refresh, because Amila just kind of dropped it in just a few minutes ago. You may need to refresh your browser to get it, and I'll work on getting it to Dave and Jackie.
So I have a question, and since we're waiting, I don't know if this would be the appropriate time to bring it up or not. It sort of relates to this. I had a couple of special ed teachers who were on listening last week to our conversation, and they wanted to know what would happen if technology fails and we're not able to see a group for whatever reason. We know if we have to miss groups for something, we are expected to make up those minutes. And so teachers were wondering about how that would be handled in this remote situation if it's technology. So I don't know if this is the appropriate time or place, but it was a question my team and others had in relation to this conversation.
Heather, do you want to offer anything at this point, or just take that as a communication point that needs to get out to the system in some future correspondence?
Yeah, I do think that we need to address that fairly specifically, maybe even with some potential backup plans if technology fails. But yeah, I do think that we should address that in future communications. Thanks for bringing that to my attention, Deborah.
Okay, looks like a fair number of people are into the document. I'll walk through it. We're thinking a little bit about, well, we left off with a conversation about the number of days at which you trip from asynchronous lesson plans left by the teacher for students if they're unable to be teaching, and then needing to decide on, okay, what number of days do we then really need to have a substitute in there providing the synchronous instruction. And so as I talked to Megan Kane and other folks around the organization about how are we going to set subs up to do this work, and how are we going to structure the expectation for teachers and for subs? We do need to answer the question about number of days, but for right now, I just have X's in place for that. We're going to use the frontline sub management system as always. So whether it's a 1-day absence or a multi-day absence, teachers will enter the absence in frontline. Teachers would mark a no sub required if it's a single day absence for which we decide no sub will be called. And teachers would mark sub required in the system. So there's going to have to be some real attention to that signal, because we don't want to call subs that don't need to be called. If it's a short-term absence, then creating that asynchronous lesson plan, and for each day of the absence up to the number we decide. We have had some side conversations about a real need to have probably a consistent template or format for several notifications. Probably need to have a consistent help sheet or hot sheet for subs coming in. Here's who you call for help. Here's the teammate who has knowledge about this content. Here's the IT help desk information. Here's how you take attendance. And so we'll need to have some consistent information that's left for subs by teachers. And I think we could have some kind of a turnkey document that really teachers just fill in their particular blanks on this kind of a format. We also think there needs to be some consistent practice around notifying families and the administration about, I'm going to be out, I've left asynchronous plans, but there'll need to be sort of a consistent practice about how to do that. And so the notification of parents and students, the communication from a teacher to a sub, and the communication from the school and teacher to the sub about how to get help when they're in the space. So these are things that need to happen and are part of the thinking overall. And then for absences of a greater number of days, if you know you're going to be out for a period of time and there's going to be a sub, then getting that sub arranged as soon as you can in frontline, requesting it and getting one assigned. As I understand Schoology, teachers are able to name someone else as an admin, and that's what the sub needs to be, an admin, so that they can access your lessons. And I'm looking at Dorman maybe to confirm that makes sense to you. As our resident Schoology pro, thank you. This is what I've been told. So you name the sub as an admin. So you're gonna have to know who your sub is and name them. And you're going to leave some detailed daily lessons for the sub. Or if you're going to be out for a period of time and you are unable to do the lesson planning, you're going to need to be relying on a co-teacher, a team teacher, some other source of providing guidance for that substitute teacher. Much as happens right now, I think, when people are out. They either lead really detailed lessons or they rely on some colleagues when it's a longer term absence, I believe. We want to avoid leaving lessons that use any software apps or platforms that are unfamiliar to subs, because we just don't need to complicate anything. We don't know that they have access, and certainly in a few days, they're not going to be able to incorporate all the tricks you've incorporated. There's this send the sub an email, but this is part of that standardized communication to subs and just trying to capture some of the ideas that need to go. And then a bullet about no sub available, a team teacher would need to provide this is all drafty language, so it would need to provide synchronous class coverage and receive class coverage pay. And I think we just need to hear some reactions and some comments and some, what needs to be considered in this space. What do we need to be thinking about? What's possible, what's not? Let me tell you what's happening with subs. As early as tomorrow afternoon, we have our first Schoology training for subs. We've got a list of about 40 and growing that have said, I can't do a learning pod because I just can't be available full time, but I am definitely interested in subbing in a remote environment. I have a computer at home. I have internet at home. I'm somewhat tech savvy and I'm ready to go. So we're going to be training those people as early as tomorrow afternoon. They'll get a 2-hour training in Schoology from Megan Kane. They will be ready to be named as your admin and to log into Schoology and to navigate around and see what you've left for them and to take over the synchronous instruction in your classroom. And so we're not going to approve subs in the frontline system who haven't received the Schoology training. And so you won't be able to be paired with any sub who's not ready to do this in a remote environment. Bo, principals, let me ask you if you have any other additions, considerations that we've been thinking about or that you've thought of as I started talking.
You also have a couple questions, Mila.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions in the question box. So go ahead, principals, and then I'll get Dorman and Colleen. Go ahead. Principals, anything? All right, Dorman.
So the admin idea is a good idea. That is the foundation of this plan. It'd be better if we could link accounts, but we can talk about that later. So I'm reading the document. That's I'm looking over to the left. I'm looking at that asynchronous time, depending on how many days it is.
Yeah.
We're in very unique circumstances. We're in very unique times. What I would recommend is the option for a teacher that is going asynchronous for X days. If they have team members that are familiar with what they're doing, I would suggest putting a team member as an admin during the asynchronous and maybe have them paid at 1 period a day for that team member, so that they can use their prep period to go through and make sure all the links are working, check the messages. And if the student had a problem or a connection problem or the quiz didn't work, or so they can find those alerts and they can get those things fixed. It's just a suggestion so that you would have someone overseeing the asynchronous, someone in the know, if you will. So like you're a math teaching partner or something. That's just an idea. And then I'm sure that the people that are going to be handling this would already have figured this out, but a substitute, an unknown substitute, is definitely going to have to know how to do either Zoom or Google Meets. For the synchronous part, they're going to have to be able to put into that person's Schoology their own personal Google or Zoom link, because they won't be able to be the host of my Zoom links that I already have set up. So that's another part that would have to be done for the asynchronous or the synchronous.
And I do think that as we talked about the Schoology training, that I heard Megan say, oh yes, we're going to have to give some basic Zoom and Google Meets refresher, make sure people know how to do that.
Because they're definitely going to have to unlink. Because I'm figuring if this is going beyond the asynchronous, you're probably sick or something, and so that person, the person you're subbing for, isn't going to be probably that engaged. I mean, they have to do sub plans and everything, but I'm just saying, I figure it's a long-term something. So they're going to have to be able to go into there, unpublish, and then publish their own stuff.
Okay, I have Colleen and then Marty. Colleen?
First, to add a little bit to what Dorman said, it'd be nice if we had that team member overseeing their asynchronous so they can take role, because all the things that came out about roles said the role on asynchronous days needs to happen by the end of that day. And like Deb said last time, I'm not working on that day, so I'm not going to get in until I get back the next day. So having someone to be able to go in and make sure all of that was done would be helpful. I also wondered if there couldn't be a location where subs can go in to do their teaching. Is there a place where technology could be available to them, where the tech is, there's help there for them in the case something falls apart, they have the right equipment so that everything works for them, whether it be the school the teacher's at or a place at the ESC or some place for them to actually be in person, but doing the technology there in a building so that they can have some help and some contact.
Marty.
I'm just thinking about when this would actually be used. I mean, if we're looking at, you know, a 5-day threshold, right, for before we go to have, you know, having synchronous learning again. And Mila, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I think that used to mean we would have to have a highly qualified sub if it was more than a 5-day absence.
It's more like past 10, but
okay. But I mean, I think that there's going to be, I guess what I'm thinking about is a lot of these absences are going to be those long-term absences, right? So, because I don't think, usually it's less than 5, but it's, you know, or it's 25, you know?
Yeah.
And so just thinking that the pool of subs that we have now that we're training are probably not going to be most of the subs that are doing this. They're going to be subs that teachers find that are highly qualified, and we're going to have to train them up. So just thinking that we're going to have trainings periodically as this comes up. And like right now I have a long-term sub in my building for somebody who's off on maternity leave, and you know, we had to get everything transferred to them. And they are just like, once they're a long-term sub, they're in IC as the teacher, they're in Schoology as the teacher, all that stuff transfers over. So it's not a matter of adding them as an administrator, they're the teacher. So
yeah,
just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions for Mila or Dave on the document? Mila, I'm not seeing any. Do you have more to add?
I would like to ask the question about number of days. We went away after our last meeting to sort of percolate on the idea, and I'd like to hear some reactions. Can people live with the 1, 2, or 3? I don't know about at elementary level. I don't know whether we thought that 3 days was too many to be asynchronous, whether we thought it should be 1 or 2. So I'd like to ask that question and make a decision tonight about number of days. And then secondary would be, we were talking about 5 or more. So, but first elementary.
I have Marty and then Laura Leppi.
I'm sorry, I just didn't unraise my hand, Dave.
Thanks, Marty. Laura.
I know that in like somewhere in the contract, somewhere it says something, or maybe it's just a suggestion after, like, to let admin know if you're going to be out for more than 3 days. So I'm wondering if that's maybe a good consistent piece to keep with. If you're going to be out for, 3 days or more, let admin know. And then on like that 3rd day, sub comes in if it's a 3-day absence. I mean, I think that, like, I can only imagine trying to do like a screencast for 5 days straight while I'm out without a sub, and like trying to, like, Deb mentioned something about attendance, like trying to stay on top of that. If I'm out for that many days, I just worry that it will become overwhelming, and then we won't be able to have that, ability to take those sub days. So 3 would be my sort of happy, nice place, because it's already somewhere in the contract about a 3-day, let admin know, get yourself sub, plan for your 2 days, and then day 3, go from there.
I have Dave and then Shelley.
I agree with a bunch of what Laura just said. 3 days is a consistent number. The piece that I was actually thinking of is for our elementary students, if it's 2 or 3 days, it's really those already synchronous days that are really super, super important. And I would feel more comfortable, like Dorman's suggestion, with 3 days. If we had somebody monitoring the Schoology account for, even if it's only one period a day, 1 hour worth of time we're paying folks for or whatever, just so that that account is monitored and issues are being dealt with. Because I think 2 to 3 days, and then the teacher coming back after 4 days of no contact with a teacher of any kind, any messages, any issues being dealt with, that's going to be bad for students, and that's going to be bad for teachers upon return from that period of time. So I would feel comfortable with the 3 days if there was somebody assigned and compensated for checking in, whether it's just like Dorman mentioned, reading the the emails and the alerts and that kind of stuff to make sure that the asynchronous days are actually moving forward. Because if a teacher's sick, I don't want them worrying about their kids getting the right the assignment PDF working correctly. I want someone to take care of that for them so that they can focus on getting healthy and getting better.
Shelley.
I think that number sits well. Just one of my concerns is with our Wednesdays on the elementary schedule already asynchronous. I think if we went any more than 3 with Wednesday in the middle of the week, like any kind of combination that either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with Wednesday already being asynchronous, that just more than 3 would turn into a lot of no contact with kids. It would virtually almost be a whole week. Wednesday always being asynchronous. I know there's some times for synchronicity on the Wednesdays, but that's just, I think with the schedule, any more than 3 would be really kind of detrimental to the kids in terms of staying in sync and connected, and that's all.
Dorman, you did have your hand up and then I saw you drop it. Was there something you wanted to say? Nope. Okay. Anybody else?
So I just want to clarify that I'm hearing no more than 3 days. So that to me is meaning 1 day absence, 2 day absence, 3 day absences, no sub called. It's asynchronous. But if it exceeds 3, if it becomes 4 or more, then we're, or if we know ahead of time it's going to have to be 4 or more, then we go ahead and start making arrangements for a sub, right? Nod or shake.
I'm seeing some hands pop up. I've got Dorman and then Dorman and then Nancy.
I guess, sorry, I'll wait.
You're good. Dorman?
So it was my understanding we're talking about elementary first. Is that correct? So we're talking about
That's
3
correct.
Elementary. Okay.
Nancy.
So my question is that asynchronous Wednesday included within 3 days? In other words, I can be gone Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday counts as the 3rd day?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a day. And so it's kind of moot because it's asynchronous anyway, but in the scheme of things, you wouldn't go more than 3 in a row without kicking into a sub with synchronous.
Thank you.
Marty.
By saying this, are we committing to providing this? So my question is, if we say that after 3 non-synchronous days, that you will have a synchronous day, does that mean if we don't get a sub that I have to find coverage for that to happen from my building? So it's just a wondering, because I don't know that I'll be able to do that.
Yeah. I think that's a really fair question. And we're trying right now to bolster our rosters of subs and to be clear about the training isn't so bad, folks. And I like the idea of inviting people into the building if we can, if we've got good subs that they're just missing a reliable internet connection or something. Maybe we can figure out ways to expand that, but 40 or 50 subs or even 100 for a system this large, they're not going to go very far. So I think, I think the reality is going to be that there might be times when we'll do everything we can to get a sub, but there there might have to be a 4th day or a 5th day asynchronously for an elementary school child. None of us want to do that, but I think we'd be thinking about other alternatives at that point. And it might be paying coverage to someone else if we just couldn't figure out anything else. But I don't even know if that's really possible to do. Teachers, I don't know if you could, have two classrooms going on.
I mean, right now, the way it works is that if we don't have a sub, then, admin is covering or a coach is covering.
Yeah.
And with having to manage learning pods in the building in real time, and then also having this, I just don't see how there's going to be staff to do that. And then if
Right.
we're also looking at having to have subs for learning pods, I don't want to put out there that there's a hard, fast deadline for synchronous to start again that I can't uphold.
I have Heather, Colleen, and Dorman. Heather?
I just feel 3 days at elementary, especially with the primary group of kids, those kinders through 2nd graders, that's a really long time for not only them, but also their families. And I know, Dave, you talked about some type of someone to check in. I'm wondering if that person would do more than just check email, but also troubleshoot and answer the questions that the children are having with things, because that's a really long time. I know it's going to get better from today, but today was really, really hard for the children and the parents. And so, a teacher is out tomorrow for 3 days. What a nightmare that will be for someone to try to put together and cover. But I think they need more of a hand-holding than just, checking emails. I don't even think, like, the K2 kids don't even know how to email on Schoology. So it'd be a lot of more training and information to prepare families for something like that.
Colleen. And Dave, I do have you. You can put your hand down if you want to. Colleen?
I was thinking, in the regular year, we do cover for each other. If we don't have a class during that time, we can take on that responsibility to go cover. So if somebody doesn't get a sub in that time, you could offer that payment for those people to come in for those extra days after that 3, so that they are there for those kids during some of that time, at least secondary. I don't know how elementary works. I don't know if you pull those kids or split those kids up, or elementary. You guys work hard, man. I don't know how you get it all done, but I think that we're more than happy to help each other out, especially if we get paid to help each other out.
Dorman?
I don't even understand how, and I'm listening to Marty and I'm truly understanding that. I don't understand how I can cover for an individual period. Like, I know we're talking about elementary. And they can't, they have to split classes when they have to do coverage and stuff. They're like heroes down in elementary. Everything that goes bad causes them 10 times more work than me. But I don't know how, because I can't take over a teacher's class for 1 hour for the synchronous part, because I don't have their Google link. I don't have their Zoom link. That meeting, if I click into their meeting, I come in as a participant, not as the host. So I don't know how you would assign 6, like in the secondary or middle, how you would assign 1 hour. Maybe it's possible. I just don't know.
I've got Marty. Were you addressing Dorman's question? Go ahead.
Well, I think that additionally, what's difficult is, typically you're scrambling when you're using coverage within the building, right? And so, not only am I looking for who I can get to agree to do it in the moment, I'm also then going to have to figure out a way to make them administrator of that class, which I like now. It seems daunting to me because I have no idea how to do it. I'm sure, I'll be an expert in a week, or Milo will do it for me. But yes.
Dave.
Heaven help us all if you're waiting for that.
Dave, you muted, sir. There you go.
I am. Sorry, I'm gonna come back. Sorry, my phone's been blowing up for the last 20 minutes because baseball games are getting canceled all across America, and it wouldn't let me unmute while I still had a notice. Sorry. So what I was gonna say, I think there's two big things that I think we need to do. And I think it's been great conversation. I don't know that we're going to be able to solve these issues tonight. And so I'm going to say my piece and then maybe recommend what we might want to do after hearing a couple other people talk, if there's more to hear. So, my main comment is going to be based on what I heard here is that it sounds like we might have to be in a space where we don't promise, unless it's a truly extended absence, beyond 5 days, 10 days, something, I don't know, any subs at the secondary level. I'm wondering if that is going to have to be the case, because you're right, we can't class coverage in Schoology period by period. It would have to be somebody there for the entire day. And that's a lot of hassle for having to change that over every single day for folks. If you're having, your SEL cover a day and your coach cover a day and someone else cover a day. That's why we weren't talking about having, one of many reasons why we can't have subs cover every single day. So it sounds to me that if we have any subs that are willing to do stuff, they may just have to spend their entire time in the elementary world. As a potential possibility for what has to happen. I know Mila had wanted to get a number set today and a process set today. I don't think there's just a lot of questions in my mind, and I wouldn't feel comfortable making a promise like Marty said that says we're ready to go with subs and numbers of subs and days of subs until we actually have a pool of subs ready to go. And we know how many that actually is. Similar to our learning pod, we only figured out how many learning pods we could get offer after we figured out how many staff we actually had to do it. And I'm fearful that even if we had 40 subs, we might lose them all to just elementary schools. And so I think we might need to put a pin on this conversation and come back, because we do have other things on the agenda that are also things that need to be covered soon.
I do have two hands up, but I'm not sure if they're left over from last time or not. I have Marty and Dorman. Did you have more, or just forgot to put your hands down? Okay. All right. Mila?
I think I take Dave's recommendation, and indeed, I like I said from the beginning, did not want to get in deep into the weeds of trying to solve everything. I just wanted your reactions, and so thank you for the reactions. And I think, what I hear is we'll continue to work on the processes, on some template communications. For right now, if a teacher has to be absent for like this first week or two of school here, you're building asynchronous lesson plans, but rather quickly we need to, we'll try to pull some things together, share with you all. I don't know if we'll decide we need another meeting of this group or not as we come to the end of our evening. It may be that we come back with a draft or something, or we just send it maybe electronically, but we'll figure out how to get some input and how to finalize a plan that, and meanwhile, try to keep getting subs coming in the door and getting trained up. So.
Okay.
I think we can move to a different agenda topic.
All righty. So where are we going from here then?
We are going to start talking about Appendix B and C in the master agreement. Jackie and Dave and everyone, I did put a chart document in just in case. I think we need to capture some information, Jackie, as we're doing some talking about the issue and then story. And we might be in a space of needing to do interest and options to solve this. I'm not expecting, which means I'm just about to jinx myself, this to be terribly complex. Mila and I have done some thinking on it that we can talk about in the story kind of phase of it, but want to just kind of walk through what it is and what it's not. So if you have a copy of the master agreement in front of you, we are talking about Appendix B and C. And these two articles specifically relate to things like co-curriculars and athletic coaching and that kind of stuff. One of the many issues as we've tried to kind of navigate through this school year, preparing for this school year, is things like CHSA delaying but not canceling football, activities that may or may not end up happening. Are we going to have musicals this year? Are we going to have things like field day this year? What are the things that we are or are not going to be able to offer this particular school year? And, the vast majority of Appendix B and C are not what becomes problematic at this time. The one part that we've identified as potentially being problematic is that currently we, in the master agreements in B and C in different spots, but basically say this, that we are going to pay out all stipended and co-curricular positions more than $500 across 9 equal installments across their school year, or the contract year, these 9 equal installments. And some of that would start to be paid out relatively soon, especially in compared to when decisions are going to be made about those events, those activities, those sports, those classes. And buildings are also trying to figure out what kind of co-curriculars are we or are we not trying to offer this year in a remote setting. What can we do in a in-person setting if we go in person? Just a whole lot of activities, and that's the issue. Without getting into options or whatnot, is we're kind of pushed up against this deadline about starting to having to pay out these stipended positions for work that may or may not end up happening. For reasons obviously beyond the control of any of us, because I'm sure we'd all rather be doing those things. And so that's the kind of piece that I just put in the that's the issue that we're here to address. I don't know, Dave, in this kind of, there's not a lot of story in this space, but I don't know, if Jackie could we can capture some of that story and any other questions that will create more story, just so that we're all kind of on the same page. I don't know that we need to narrate it like we normally do and pop. It's really more of a, I think, popcorn story and question answer space. But that's the issue for which we are needing to address. Mila, anything you'd add to that before either going into more details or answering questions and whatnot?
No, Linda put a comment in the chat about coaching salaries paid out over 10 months. I think Appendix B, Item C.
We changed that. Yeah, we changed it from. Yeah. We changed it from 10 months to 9 months because of the change in the contract year, the slide over of the contract year. And that was one of the changes we ratified last year. So 10 months was the old, before we did all that realignment work. Switching it to 9 months was one of the things we also changed.
Okay, so what I'm understanding, Dave, if people have a question or have part of the story around this, to put their hand up and you want to popcorn it, generally is what it is. So if you have a question about what Dave just said or part of the story around Appendix B and C, put your hand up. Dorman?
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to ask the question without it being an option. The question is for human resources, or how difficult would it be to make all things a lump sum payment? How difficult would it be in a payroll type of realm?
Actually, that's easier.
Okay. And Jackie is putting that in there. I see it right now. So other question, story.
I guess I'll add a couple more items. one of the reasons why we had it broken up was to avoid the tax hit on a lump sum payment. I mean, that's just a fact. That's why it's broken up, why it's not paid out in lump sums. Not saying that like for a year or something like that, that's not a good idea in this space. The piece of story is if we were to just keep it as is and just pay people as if it was going to happen, then we might find ourselves as a system in a place where we would have to dock and reclaim that money. So like if football got delayed till spring, if we start paying the football coaches and whatnot, right, in the 9-month cycle as normal, then, and if football doesn't happen, or they whatever, they don't coach it, football doesn't happen, whatever, then the district might be in a position where we're starting to now dock people's salaries to repay that money, which my understanding is never goes over well with the employee and is a pain in the tuchus for HR and the system as a whole.
All right, I have Colleen and then Linda. Dorman, your hand was still up too. Did you have more, or did you just forget to take it down? Okay, Colleen.
I'm always surprised when you call my name. I have a question that's kind of in line with Dorman's. When you do that one-time payment, do you want them all to go out at the same time, or could you do that one-time payment when they're done coaching or they're done with their extracurricular, then the paycheck could go out? Is that something that's possible? Because that seems fair to me that once you're done, then you get paid.
Yep, that is possible and very doable.
Okay.
So then could you add that to story that?
I think she is.
It is possible. It's sounding a little option-y.
Yeah, it is, but she did capture it. Thank you, Jackie. Linda.
Are there, I guess I'm a little out of touch. Is there any fall sports going on right now?
There are. We've got softball. We have golf. There's at least one other one that is escaping my memory right now. I don't.
Yes.
Tennis. Thank you. Yeah. So there are a few. Yeah. Sorry. I don't do fall sport. I don't know. But there are fall sports.
That Mr. Godowski is serenades in the morning and charades in the afternoon.
But yes, there are a few fall sports going on. There are also certain stipend, like class leadership and student government things. There are things already beginning to happen, but it's not everything, right?
And do we anticipate that they'll be able to run that full cycle of the sports, or because they're obviously that would be shorter than student government or whatever?
Linda, I stopped predicting a very long time ago about what is or is not going to happen in COVID time.
Understandable. All right, Chris.
Yeah, so just more of a question, I think, maybe a story. I don't know if actually speaking exactly if I'm correct. My perception is that a lot of our coaches outside of their formal season are spending a whole lot of time developing kids. So this summer, for example, we had lots of coaches working with kids in conditioning programs and informal things out there. And so it feels like a lot of what we compensate coaches for is for touches and work with kids that go well outside the season. And just feel like that's a part of story to consider if I'm right about that.
You are 100% right about that. And so, things like marching band, they had already started practicing. Coaches at football and other things had done not formal practices, but they do, especially at the high school level, coaching is a 12-month activity. It's not just the season. So, I think at some point, now I'm getting option-y, sorry too, but if we were to start saying, oh, Shasta canceled the whole sport and not paying a sport stipend or whatever, we would probably have to come up and figure out what would be a fair middle space of, I did some work, but I'm not coaching the whole season.
Shelley. Shelley, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to lower my hand because that was going to be my comment too, is that often they're working out like they're already working with weight training and different things like that outside the contract.
Okay, thanks, Shelley. Anything else? And if you're looking on, Jackie is catching the things that you're saying very, very well. So thanks, Jackie.
That's why we're glad you hired her for today.
No kidding. I think we'll just take her everywhere we go. So.
If there are no other questions or story, I think we could shift to options. Obviously, the nice thing about the Google Docs is it's easy to hit enter and add more story. So,
yes. Are you talking options, Dave, or interest?
Interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did I say options? It's been a long day for all of us.
Yes, it has. So, Jackie, if you put interest in, thanks.
So I'd like to start. I have an interest in not having to put people in a position of reclaiming that money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other interests. Well, this is good. We have one.
I do have an interest in
Go ahead, Mila.
I do have an interest in compensating people for the really good work they do with kids.
Thanks, Mila.
And I have a secondary interest in continuing the sponsorship of co-curricular and athletic activities.
I was going to say.
I'll play CFO since my friend Susie isn't on our team, but I do have an interest in making sure that we are using, especially in these days with funding being what it is, using our precious dollars in a responsible manner.
Okay. Other interests, Michelle. You're muted again, Michelle.
Gosh, I can't. Right. It's been a long day on Zoom.
Yeah, no kidding.
Similar to the way we worked hard with options for bus drivers and base and all those other things in this current situation, I think we want to try to retain our good coaches and yearbook directors and student council reps and all those positions and honor them in a way that shows them we value them in some way to hold their positions and bring them back when we're ready to rock and roll like we normally do.
Okay. I have Dorman, Laura, and then Sandy. Dorman? Dorman, you're muted, sir.
I think I have a bit of a story that backs up some of these interests, or maybe would provide other interests. But so coaches, especially in these trying times, are providing another adult that is specifically caring for, reaching out to, and helping some of these students that are feeling very isolated. So if in an interest somehow we can encourage, maybe they're not on the football field throwing the football, but there's some sort of, I have an interest of those coaches to do the homework clubs, the continue to make sure that those athletes know that they're important, they're part of the school community. I have an interest in those coaches being honored for that, and the coaches continuing that work.
Okay. I'm going to let Jackie catch up just a little bit here. Laura Leppy.
Mine is kind of along the lines of Dorman's, but also I have an interest in kind of letting the teachers know whether or not they can, like that with the co-curriculars, I guess more than the sports, because that we kind of have to wait on a little bit, but honoring kind of like the time and that connection that they have with students, but just letting them know that that's a value to the schools and the school district and allowing them to be able to do that.
Okay, Sandy.
I have an interest in not taking money out of people's pockets.
Okay, I think we got that, Sandy. You broke up pretty bad. Jackie didn't get it. Would you say it again, please?
Sorry, let's try this. I have an interest in not taking money out of people's pockets.
Okay, we got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Shelley.
Oh, sorry, I didn't take my hand down.
Oh, okay, thanks. Other interests. Okay. Other interests. All right. Are we ready to move on to options then, Dave?
Sure.
Alrighty.
So I have an option.
Okay.
That it's long and Jackie can condense it, I'm sure. But for this school year, we signed an MOU of some kind that basically states that we will, instead of paying these things over 9 months, that we will pay them after they're completed in January and June.
Okay. Dorman. Dorman, you're muted again.
And my mic warns me that I'm muted. I just want to remind anybody that's watching that options were just kind of like a brainstorming session, that we're throwing things out there. We may not even really have a belief in our option. We're just throwing ideas out there. And my option might be to pay all the coaches regularly, because we're not going to need to reclaim that money, because they're going to do Zoom meetings, they're going to do homework clubs, they're going to continue to work the strategies of their sport or whatever. So we may just pay them normal because they're still going to be doing that good work.
And Dorman, thanks for giving that little bit beforehand so that folks know that what exactly options are. I appreciate that. Shelley.
Yeah, just to clarify what Dorman said, this is just an idea. Maybe some sort of timesheet to record hours. I'm just worried about, like, I don't know what Dave necessarily meant when he said completed, but I'm worried that, like, they might be able to start something and not finish it. So honoring time spent without necessarily finishing a season, if something would happen mid-season, but maybe some sort of timesheets or tracking or whatever. I know at elementary level, we submit like the number of meetings, the number of hours, the number of contacts with kids for co-curricular. So some sort of tracking system to keep track in case it doesn't make it through the season or come to a completion.
Okay, thanks, Shelley. Chris.
So mine would be supplemental pieces to the options Dave and Shelley have tossed out. In terms of completion, would toss out an option that if for some reason that activity or was canceled due to COVID, that individuals would receive at the January and June timeframes 1/3 of the compensation they otherwise would expect for the work they've done this summer, and that I would expect them to do this fall. I think a lot of people are going to be doing off-season training and coaching with students this fall. And on Shelley's piece, that if the season were canceled after more than half of it's been completed, that we go ahead and pay the coach or the activity sponsor their full amount for the activity.
Okay. Okay. Allison.
Mine was right along the lines with what Chris and Shelley were talking about. I think
Okay.
Chris covered it.
All right. Any other options? Remember, the options are just brainstorming. Mila.
I have an option to pay coaches at the end of each season. So there might be a fall payment, a kind of winter payment, and then a spring payment. And for the full year activities, split it in half with a June and a January payment.
Okay.
And I do just want to point out or clarify, so maybe this is part of the story, that there is currently language that says if the coaching duties are not completed, that coaches are paid a prorated share of their season. So there is a mechanism in place right now. If for example, something got canceled, we could prorate the pay.
Okay.
Does anybody know who's trying to call in? 303-881-0063. Did somebody drop? And oh, maybe that's Sandy.
I think
I
it's
don't want to
No,
read out
it's not
the
Sandy.
It's
Sandy's
Laura.
on.
Okay.
It's not me.
It's Laura.
Mitchell.
We'll admit her. Okay.
All right. Laura Leppy, you've got something.
An option to allow co-curriculars to start virtually right away and pay them as if it were a normal school year.
Yeah, so this is maybe my story or my like bad on an assumption. I assumed that the co-curricular buildings would go through their normal co-curricular process to figure out like, all right, we're going to sponsor, I don't know, math club and chess club this year. And I'm raising my hand and being the sponsor. I got some kids. They're just going to follow their normal process. The ones that I feel like we were dealing with were ones that specifically were things that were more like there is a field day coach or like there's someone identified already in the master agreement, and the buildings would go through their normal co-curricular process to figure that out. And this also gives them this would give them, if we did this kind of thing that we're talking about here, give them the opportunity to not have to make that decision like today, I'm going to offer chess club or not. They can make a decision later on in the school year. Because of Milo was talking about these payments, they could decide, oh, we're back in person now, January 1. Now let's do chess club. Or if they still had co-curricular money or something to that effect.
Okay,
so
that
that's
makes
yeah.
I didn't know if we were allowed to start those, so I was throwing it out as an option.
It's good. It's an option.
No, it's a great option. It's a great option. I was just exposing a piece of my assumption that I should have probably vocalized earlier.
Allison, you did have your hand up. Are you okay? I don't know where Allison went. Oh, there she is.
Sorry, Dave covered it. I was going to add on to Laura, but then Dave clarified, so we're good.
All right. Thank you. Chris.
So another circumstance that I think is true is my understanding is that the marching band season has been canceled, and yet I believe our marching band students are still participating and practicing throughout the year with hopes they might do something like perform at a football game. I'm wondering if we had an option that and I do think that may be a standalone piece, but something that I'd want to be able to address, that if you're continuing to work with students on a consistent basis, similar to what you would be doing if your season was still authorized to go forward, that you'd be able to be compensated fully or in a pro rata fashion according to the work that you're doing with kids.
So it'd almost be, Chris, just to clarify and to understand what you're saying, kind of like just because the band association or whoever it is canceled the marching band season, that doesn't mean that person isn't still the marching band director, isn't still getting paid. If they still do their work of some kind this year, you're saying then they just get the marching band pay because they were doing work. It just wasn't regular. Didn't look like normal marching band, just like nothing looks like normal stuff right now.
Yeah, I could see a lot of marching band being the same as it has been. You're practicing throughout the summer and you're practicing in lots of evenings, but instead of competing against other marching bands for points and judges, maybe you perform at a football game, maybe you don't because football season gets canceled, but you're still working with those kids to develop their musical talent, their marching talent. And if you're doing it at the same level of practice and commitment that you usually are, it just feels like an option would be to compensate them fully for that work.
It's a little bit of like what Brett Favre said about being a pro football player is you get paid not for the game day, you get paid for all the practices and work that goes into the game day. Game day you do because you love football.
Other options.
Thank you, Dave. Get us back on track.
Other options. I'm not seeing any other options right now, so I'm assuming you want to go into straw design. Is that correct?
Yeah. In general, I would say, yeah, we need to put together some of these options. I don't know, and this is Mylon and I's mistake. We did not pre-set up some straw design groups. I also have noticed that we all seem to be pretty close in alignment with some of the straw designs that are being put together. So I don't know if normally we try really hard to be in really balanced groups, but I wonder if we either do one like a writing group and give everyone a little bit of a break on this crazy day and have one group put it together and then bring it back. And if we're on the right page and everything's pretty good with that, then that might be sufficient for today. Or if Dave or Jackie, you guys feel like we really should pull everybody together, Mylon and I can quickly draft up those groups based on ones we've used in the past.
Well, this is your process, so you let us know what you'd like us to do. We can try the small group to put it together and bring it back to the large group, and if it falls apart, then we can put together some straw designs either now or in another meeting, whichever you'd rather do. Dave, this is your process, so you let us know what you need to do.
I like the writing group idea.
Okay. I noticed a couple of notes in the chat and in my message folder going, that's might be good. So maybe if we could get, two, I'm assuming Mylon and I would have to be in that group because we don't get away with not being in those groups. And then, maybe just double check that Dave would give everyone a chance to vote temperature check kind of style that like, they're okay with that. And then if so, we can ask for volunteers for the rest of for actually doing the work.
Okay.
And we would do that another night and come back at a next meeting. Is that?
Well, the other option is we could, take it. My original thought was break out those 4 or 5 people, do it right now, give everyone else a 15-minute break, stretch, grab something to eat, whatever it is that they want to do. And then we can at the very least report back where we're at. And if we're on the right direction, that if it's perfect, then maybe we're in a good spot. But at the very least, get some feedback tonight before going off.
Let's do a 12-minute breakout group. Who's in?
Well, I did want to just make sure everybody felt okay with that first, Miles.
Oh yeah.
Is every let me see your thumbs on a writing group, folks. All right, I'm seeing all the thumbs up, so that except for the people I can't see, which is the only one right now is Laura Mitchell. So let's go ahead and go with that. So how many people do you think you need, Dave? And are there certain ones that you definitely want on? Like you said, Myla and Dave will be on it. Who else?
Like it, I don't, I think we need to have at least, try to get a secondary and an elementary person from each team. And then the two of us. If someone else really jumps up and is like, I really want to be on that, I'm not going to kick him out either. But,
sure. So who from secondary would like to be on the writing group? I see Allison's hand up. Okay. And how about Allison, are you secondary? Is that what I just said? Brain cramp all of a sudden. I must be getting old. Elementary. Somebody from elementary. Heather Espinoza is there. So do you need more than 4, Dave, or do you want, is that good?
Yeah, two admins, kind of the same breakup would be perfect. I know that I think we don't actually have an elementary admin. I know Bo used to live that world, but probably not anymore. So I think 2 admins in general would be fine, regardless of the level.
Okay, a couple of
if you agree, Mila.
Yep.
A couple of admin that would serve on it. Bo has his hand up and Matt has his hand up. So there you go.
Hey.
Thanks.
So
All right.
we have,
Let me, Chad, I'm just sending you the list of names here. You can make us a breakout room and put us in it right away.
And then for everybody, we can stretch and get something to eat. What time do we want to be back, Mila? You said
5:55.
Okay.
okay, 5:55. Chad, there you go. So the rest of us can have a break. I still see Bo. There he goes. All right. 5:55 return.
Okay, we're back.
You guys miss us?
Indeed. All right, Ken.
We couldn't wait to get back to our room full of wordsmiths.
There you go. So if you look on the document, folks, under the options, they put the straw design one, so take a look at it. Mila, Dave, anybody from that writing team want to talk about what you did, or is it pretty self-explanatory?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. There's only a couple of bullets. More than glad to explain or answer questions or whatever about the bullets, but I think everybody can kind of read through them. We had a lot of consistency in story and interest and options, so I think this is just more specific details.
Okay.
And we agreed that coaches earn a pittance generally. By the time you average the hours they spend to the money they earn, it's pennies. But we know money's not the reason most of us do any of this work. And for those of our folks in the audience who can't really see it, we're talking about full year activities, 2 installments, January and June. Other co-curricular and athletic activities paid at the end of each season, if it's a more seasonal kind of activity. If we cancel due to a COVID-related reason prior to season starting, we would pay 1/3 of the agreed upon salary. And this is not to set a precedent for anything in the future, because we don't do that right now if a coach can't fulfill their obligation for some reason. But we feel like COVID is very unpredictable. And if the season starts and the coach has been working with the team or the co-curricular activity and it's canceled midway, then we'll go ahead and pay the agreed upon full stipend.
Okay, Laura Leppi.
The only clarify, I just throw out if it's
go ahead.
canceled due to a COVID-19 related issue.
Okay.
So you leave halfway through or whatever, that will be handled through the normal process. This is specifically related to COVID related cancellations, either before the season starts or after the season starts.
Laura.
I had a question about where it says the full year activities. So does that include co-curricular full year activities? And what about like co-curriculars that are sort of full year, but like math counts where it, kind of ends in like that March-ish? Would that be considered full year or not?
So math counts is an event, right? Like there are other, you practice for it for a long time, but it's an event, right? Like it's an activity that starts. That's my understanding, and we can, if there are other, they're like if you go through.
It's like a co-curricular, like they have a club, and then the competitions are in the spring, but the club starts right away, so it's like a co-curricular throughout the year, and then they just compete in the spring. So I didn't know like how that would, because it's not full year, but it's like most of the year.
I'm going to call it all year.
We'd probably call that full year. I mean, if it's going on, what we want is to pay you some money in the first semester so that we're sure to capture you. And in case things the wheels fall off second semester, at least you've had a chance to earn. Well, and in this case, you'd get paid in June for the full amount because you'd started it. But
okay, awesome, thanks.
Yeah.
The thing, just as a reference, there's like a binder that's like this thick. I'm joking only slightly, with all the different potential clubs and activities and across the system. There's no way we're going to be able to noodle through here every single theoretical iteration of that. I think we're going to have to leave it to teachers and our sponsors and our administrators to figure out if this is an event or something that's mostly a year longish kind of thing. But either way, they're going to get their money one way or another in these kind of breakdowns, whether it happened or it didn't happen, right? Got canceled or didn't get canceled.
Okay. Nancy.
So with those last 2 bullet points, when will they be paid? Will they be January and June, or at the end of what would have been the season?
At what would have been the end of the season, I think is what we would set up.
Okay. Chris.
And this may fall in a similar category to Laura's question on the marching band thing. Are you intending by this language that you'd still compensate individuals involved in marching band notwithstanding cancellation of their formal competition season? I know there's nothing specifically in there. I just want to clarify what the group's intentions would be on that.
I think to answer that question, just because they're not, that marching, once again, you're right. There's a tons of iteration. I think marching band is an example of they're still doing stuff, right? They may perform, they're going to still do performances. They're still practicing. They're still completing the activity for which they are being paid for. So they would fit into that category of just, it gets paid when it's done. The end of their season, quote unquote, is done.
Yeah, and drama,
Right.
similarly, I don't know if anybody will be able to stage a play or not, but if they're gathering, they're rehearsing, they're maybe doing something that's filmed virtually instead of a live presentation. That's, it looks different, but it's happening. And the athletic director, the administrator at the school, and the coach all agree that, we're doing work with kids that resembles as much as possible marching band or theater or these other activities.
Yeah, I could see a lot of really creative things where they don't host a spring musical this year, but they put together a Zoom version of a medley show or something like that that's recorded and shared with the school, right? So it's the same kind of work, same general category. It just looks a little bit different this year.
Okay, other questions, comments? I'm not getting any. Do you, I assume I'm going to take a chance here and say it's time to give a thumbs up, or and at least then we'd know where we are. So for what the straw design did, where are your thumbs? I believe you have consensus, folks. Good job. Good job.
All right. Very nice. Thank you very much.
You bet. So where are you headed now, guys?
I'd like to just touch on the topic of evaluation, the third agenda item.
Oh,
Laura,
wait,
you got a hand up.
I do. Linda.
Are we looking at like an MOU with a sunset date for this?
That's a good question, Linda. Thank you.
I believe that's what Dave and I have talked about.
Yeah, so we would present you guys with that document using these as our talking points. We can figure out whether we need to pull together or just send it virtually. We'll take a second to figure out that part offline here. But yes, there would be an MOU that would be or an LOA, depending on what it ends up being, for this year only, for the for the 2021 school year, all subject to, it couldn't go beyond this year without it going through traditional negotiations with a traditional voting and all that kind of jazz.
Okay, good question, Linda. Anything else on this before we move to the discussion on evaluation that Mila just talked about? All right, I don't see any. Mila?
So if you go back in our shared drive to the agenda for tonight, I did just cut and paste a couple of pieces of language that are germane to the conversation. We have in Article 14 language around our evaluation of our teacher evaluation process, our educator evaluation process. And this year we do have some guidance from CDE that does shift the use of MSLs and measures of student learning, measures of student outcomes. And the language there just talks about CDE will not monitor or collect the measures of student learning or outcomes portion of the educator effectiveness requirements for educator evaluation. Therefore, monitoring and reporting of educators' final effectiveness rating will be based on 100% on professional practices for this year. There's a typo there. So, I think it's important to just name that. And I don't think that there's any conflict with contractual language in Article 14 with that fact. We do have an educator effectiveness committee. It's our 1338 committee. And that group does have representation from staff, administration, community member when we can find one. And we'll be reviewing just more details about the evaluation process and some of the elements of evaluation for this year. But in terms to develop some best practices in the space of evaluating remote learning, online learning, CDE's published a lot of really good resources in this space. So we'll be doing some work there. One of the things that I do see, Dave and I see as definitely germane in Article 14 is the language that I included in the agenda.
Mila, Colleen has a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you move on to anything else, just
thanks, Dave. Colleen?
Yeah.
It could have waited till after that, but I'm just wondering about becoming non-probationary. If you're a teacher who is non-probationary, losing your non-probationary status. I know that was put on hold last year, or if you already had turned everything in, then they could give that to you.
Yeah.
Where does this leave teachers this year?
So that last sentence there where it says the final effectiveness rating will be 100% professional practices, the fact that you're getting a final effectiveness rating is the trigger for another year of credit toward earning your non-probationary status, so to speak, as I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we basically said in that MOU that we wrote and signed last year, that, the no score year didn't hurt anyone who didn't end up getting a rating. There were educators who did get a rating. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but there were educators that did end up finishing up their evaluation process. And then it's going to be to the 1338, our educator effectiveness committee, to figure out that, and that's what it says in our contract, to figure out the how is that going to happen? How are we going to advise and process wise with educators and their evaluators to get this in this remote interrupted kind of setting, with the goal that no matter what our mode of learning is, educators need to receive feedback. They need to receive that kind of professional practice and focus, observations and feedback to be good, to improve their practice no matter our mode. Which goes into what Mila was about to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mila.
So I think, Dave and I think really that the article that is tangentially touched by this change in CDE's guidance for us in our remote, it's really more about our remote approach. In Article 14, 10.1, we talk about the foundation of our system is one of mutual respect and transparency, and that observations are conducted in an open and professional manner with full knowledge of the teacher. And it goes on to talk about the use of audio, video recording equipment to document the delivery of instruction for the purpose of a collaborative performance conversation shall be subject to mutual agreement between the evaluator and the teacher. And then it talks about deliberate eavesdropping and the use of the public address, audio, video systems, and similar devices for eavesdropping shall be prohibited. And so I think it's just important that we say out loud in the room, and for people who are watching tonight or watch the recording later, that, Schoology is our classroom. It's our electronic classroom. And so it's to be expected that administrators will be dropping into Schoology to visit your electronic classroom. But I think the spirit of this language lives that says open, full knowledge, mutual understanding about If a recording is going to be made, it's with a mutual agreement, because it is possible, I believe, to record Schoology lessons. And so if you and your supervisor agreed that this would be a good thing, and the supervisor could watch it later and give you some feedback, great. Full transparency and mutual agreement. Likewise, an administrator will pop into a Schoology classroom, but wouldn't record without that kind of prior transparent mutual agreement. So I think we don't need to necessarily come to any agreements, but I wanted to put that in front of you, hear any conversation or reaction about that, and just make sure that we're all on the same page.
One thing I'd add in that space, when our educator effectiveness committee comes together on the 14th, one of the things that we'll have to tackle is how to advise evaluators and educators on what's that protocol for now that I'm going to be dropping in virtually, right? So this concept of deliberate eavesdropping, no, they shouldn't drop into your Zoom meeting in a manner that doesn't allow you to know that they were there. Right, that would be a violation of this article, and really just professionalism in general. Like nobody, it would never feel good to be like, oh, by the way, I was in your meeting yesterday. You didn't know I was in your meeting, but I was in your meeting yesterday, and XYZ happened. Something to that effect. That's that spirit of that language that we want to make sure to uphold and to preserve. But like I said, keeping in mind that both the CDE guidance and the intent of our evaluation process is to improve our practice. And for on and off, no matter what the decision, Chris and the board make on the 11th is, or for this semester or any semester, for the foreseeable future, remote learning is in our wheelhouse of instruction. And it behooves all of us to get feedback and to improve in that space. And so, my reading and of the law and of our article and our practice doesn't preclude them from being part of your Zoom call. It just precludes them from doing so in a manner that is really unprofessional, right? Recording something without someone's knowledge, that's unprofessional. Letting them not know that you're in the meeting or something like that, that's just unprofessional. But being able to do this work in a very professional, transparent, open way in this new setting.
Okay, anything else? Linda.
It might be really important to remind teachers of this particular language and the district's attitude toward not communicated visitation, so to speak. This language has been around for a long time, long before Apex. So I just want to make certain, particularly people who are fairly new to the system, understand that the expectation at 14.1.1, thanks.
I think we got most of what you said, Linda, but you froze up on us. So,
and I think just to clarify, that's what the work is going to be doing for our educator effectiveness committee, to give that guidance and assistance to the system, starting, like I said, our first meeting. Although a lot of us have been working on and thinking about it, our first formal meeting is on the 14th of September to start pushing that out. And one of the things, I call it story, the administrator in charge of Apex and of our educator effectiveness group, Megan, already sent out a message to the system to supervisors, basically like, I know you want to jump on this evaluation thing on top of everything else, but just put a pause, put the brakes on, and prioritize getting this year kicked off first, so that educators can put first the work of students in this crazy time, but also to give the system time to recalibrate and to provide additional help.
Okay. Anything else, Mila? Dave, anybody else? You mainly just wanted folks to see this, Milo. Is that the?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
and really to Linda's point, it was really just surfacing the fact that that article exists and times have changed, and just to be sure we were all on the same page with our understanding. But then this ed effectiveness group going into further detail about best practices. So it sounds like we need another follow-up meeting to just put the final stamp of approval on probably the it'll be MOUs or one long MOU or a couple of MOUs that contain language around, well, the appendix B and C, and then it's maybe not it's not an MOU. It's more just the protocols for subs and class coverage and just that conversation, just something from a writing group back.
Yeah, we were also going to bring back to this group just the work that we do on the quarantine group on Monday. We don't have that a follow-up meeting with this group scheduled, but I'm sure we can figure that out offline for another date and time. And we have a whole bunch of other meetings we got to schedule for them throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Milo and I will get on that schedule meetings for everyone.
Okay.
So my best hope would be that one more meeting of what we could call this IBS Onward group, which is just really IBS in the remote space, and then take a little bit of a break and then recommence our meetings for traditional IBS, perhaps.
So just so you know, Dave and Mila, the 2nd through the, I'll be back on the 8th. I'll be out of state from the 2nd through the 7th. So just share it with you so that you don't try to put something on that because I'm out during that time. So, all right. So anything else for the good of the order? All right. Go ahead.
As you make times and dates and whatnot, just remember that middle school classes are in session until 4:15.
Thank you, Dorman. A good point.
And Chris, you had your hand up.
I was just going to say, my 2 cents is putting the sub protocols on the same document if we capture an MOU and just having one-stop shopping about kind of the unique expectations and commitments for this year could be beneficial. Same with the teacher evaluation piece that captures the language from CDE and reemphasizes that we're not doing sneaky snake evaluation practices. I just think it'd be nice for people to have a go-to place to see all the rules about things.
Okay. All right. So are we ready for checkout then? All right. We're going to start with Laura Mitchell. Laura, I slipped up and didn't have you check in, but I'll let you check out if you're there still.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. Just a thought for the day, Laura.
Well, I just want to say that the topics you guys are covering, I'm very happy that we're able to do the educator effectiveness this year and teachers won't lose another year. So I think that's a very, very positive. And I also like the extracurricular activities and allowing our staff to be very creative and provide opportunities in other ways to get kids the same social interaction and ability to learn and grow, and even in this interesting time. And I will just add real quick that I have heard so many wonderful things, that congratulations to all of our educators and all the staff who helped get us kicked off today. Congratulations, guys, because everything I've heard so far has been majority overwhelmingly positive. So congrats. Welcome back.
All right, Marty.
Do it again, Darcy.
Thanks. I just feel thankful for people having brain energy to do this work today. Because I didn't really. And also, I mean, I feel like everybody should celebrate something tonight. I mean, we can't just celebrate getting through it, even if it was hard and crappy. You got through it, and tomorrow will be better. So congratulations, everybody.
Kathy.
Just really good thinking. And I think we're coming up with really fair solutions in a really hard environment. And I appreciate, again, everybody putting in the extra time after they did a full school day, and the people who did the work group. Thank you. I appreciated my break, but I know people are working really hard, and it's just the theme that people go above and beyond on this group and throughout our system. So thank you.
Heather Gracious.
I was not prepared for that. Tonight was a good night. Thank you so much, Chris. I apologize for embarrassing you in the beginning of the time, but it really was the highlight of my day.
Chris, you're next, so you can answer that if you want to.
I'll just keep leaving people guessing about that. Same comments as others. I appreciate the work group. A lot of people just brains are taxed, and collectively I appreciate the group for your work, not only tonight but throughout the summer and what's become a year-long process. It's a big commitment on top of demanding jobs, and I appreciate everyone's willingness to give time so we can move our system forward in a collaborative way.
Oh.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. It was a tough duty at the end of a full day for sure, but that's what makes this group special, is ability to lead in good times and bad. And I just want to reiterate my sincere admiration. That's not even a sufficient word for the work that's going on at our schools between our principals and our teachers. It's an amazing accomplishment. I know it's not easy, but it's heroic, and hope you know how many people are proud of you.
Colleen.
I know, I just have to say, through this whole process, from things that board members have said to Chris has said, Bo, the work that you look at in here, I just feel like you spend a lot of time showing teachers that you value the work that we do. And it shows in everything that was in this document today, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing that. It makes me teary.
Heather Espinoza.
Yes, thank you for your words and everyone's hard work. And I'm crossing my fingers for a smoother day tomorrow.
Shelley.
Again, I'm grateful to be part of this team. I think our heads together always makes it just feel like the work is a little bit easier, because people think of things that I wouldn't have thought of on my own. So I'm grateful for that. Tomorrow I'm going old school. I'm gonna forget all my links, and I'm reading Who Moved My Cheese?
Deborah.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than ditto across the board, the hard work from everyone. And yeah, I reached out to my principal to problem solve a situation while I was in a kindergarten classroom, and she was on it and responded to me immediately, and reached out to the teacher and helped her problem solve it. It was almost immediate, even though I was entertaining kindergartners, so it didn't feel quite so immediate, but it really was, and that support was incredible. And I echo Colleen, the way everybody is willing to support teachers and not just say, hey, it's COVID, we're not paying anything or doing anything is pretty incredible. I'm honored to be a part. Thanks, everybody.
Teresa.
I'm too busy smiling over here. Thank you guys for giving me a moment to leave and come back. Feels like in this remote setting, we're working all hours of the day. And so I want to just thank all the teachers today. I heard Michelle and Heather share their day with us, and I really hope things get better. And I love the idea about the book and going old school. But this team here, it gives me energy. I was like Marty, tired and ready to end the day. But all of you give me energy, and I look forward to the great work that will continue. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.
Allison.
was already unmuted. Well, I'm really tired, but I feel good. That's about all I got. Love you all.
Mila.
Thank you. I echo what many of you have said, and I want to let you know from the beautiful view of the ESC parking lot that I have from my office, it's raining.
Matt.
Yeah, job well done, district wide for people holding on tight right now. I mean, that's all it is. We call it riding the wave in my neck of the woods. You just got to hold on. It's going to be bumpy some days and smoother others. And nice job to everybody for getting through day one, or at least I think we're just a couple minutes away from getting through day one, I hope. And so, yeah, nice job holding on. Keep doing it, people. Job well done tonight. Have a good one, guys.
Sandy.
Okay, I'm going to leave my video on. Let me know if you can't hear me. Okay. Chris, I just have to say, if you were serenading somebody and we didn't get to see it, I can't get past this. I've been begging you to do a snow day song for years. So this better be available somewhere for me to watch, because I can't not see that. Yeah, what everybody said. I'm just so proud to work here. Especially these last 6 months. It's been rough for everyone. No one's doing no one's doing what we really want to do, but we're going to try to make this work, because what choice do we have? The students were funny as always today. It was just good to interact with them, trying to get used to this new way. But thank you all when we knocked out that co-curricular coaching thing, it's just, we're all on the same page, and I'm just so proud of that. So thank you everyone for being in this group. I love you guys too.
Linda.
I am in absolute awe of the work that has been done at every level in this district. And I just cannot imagine how little the public understands about what it's taken for you to get to this point. So congratulations to all of you. It's always a pleasure to be here and get so many different points of views. Best wishes for tomorrow.
Dorman.
Yeah, just thank you to the whole group. We keep working hard. We're tired and we keep going. And I just appreciate everyone in my own personal PLC at school, to my admin, to every single one in this group. Everyone is pulling their weight, more than their weight. And I'm just proud to be a part of it.
Nancy.
Well, I've been singing the praises of this group for all of the years that I've been a part of it. And now for the last 3 weeks, to everybody I'm around, I've been singing the praises of Adams12 and what you all are doing and how wonderful you are at it, and how you always think of the students and care for the teachers and the administrators. So thank you, everybody.
Laura Leppy.
Yeah, I echo what everyone has said. I'm so super humbled and in awe of everybody being able to be part of this group. And my peeps are starting to plan for New York schools to open. And so I've heard lots of interesting things for them. And I said, well, let me tell you what we did, because it's the best. And they all go, oh, yeah, we should do that. So props to you guys. You're going to cross state lines at this point. I'm amazed by it. And I hope tomorrow is awesome for all of you guys. I just realized I had 100% attendance today too, which was like blows my mind in this virtual space. My kids are just amazing, and everybody is going above and beyond. And the fact that we're all still sitting upright is that is clutch in this case. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. You're the best.
Dave, you're muted still for some reason. And you're sideways.
I know, I'm sideways. There's a reason why I'm sideways. Just ignore that fact for a second. I I know we all went through amazing troubles today and whatnot, but it may be sideways at the moment. Sorry about that. But that is my lovely daughter, right at the in the middle of her classes. We all had struggles, and I watched it from, and my heart went out to her teachers and the phone calls and everything else I got. But she had no idea. She had a normal-ish day of school where she was able to see her friends and talk to them and raise her hand and ask questions all day. She learned stuff, and they don't know all the struggles that we went through, and that's okay. It's okay for us because they know, and Annabella got to meet and talk to her teacher for the first time, and she knows that she has someone who cares about her. And that, at the end of the day, made everything that's happened in the last 6 months worth it. And it will be for each and every one of our students. And you just need to know that and hold on to that. That's what gets me through it. And I hope that gets through that that's what helps you get through it too.
Jackie.
Glad I could be here to witness the glory of y'all working together so well. It's good to see everybody.
And Jackie, thank you very much for being here. You were a great help tonight. Really, really appreciate your time. Always amazes me, folks. You do this so well. And I have to share with you, I was on last night with a group who did not do well in California. So like Laura taking it over the lines to New York, I talked about you a lot last night to try to get them back on track. So congratulations, everybody. And we'll see you the next time we come around. And thanks again, Jackie. Really appreciate it. Have a good night, all.